that's 4 feet by 4 feet. So it's almost as big as a human being, as an adult. Most of you, my younger guys, it's probably taller than you are. And it's gonna be out there for you to see, and you can go say, oh my gosh, there's my flower, or there's the thing that I made, because it will be on this big sculpture. So for today, because it's the first day, I wanted to do something kind of easier and kind of fun that you can do at home, and then keep doing this over and over as much as you want. It's a really fun, kind of easy project, and all you need is the number 6 plastics. It could be from any product. So what I did is, today, first, I just want to show you some different options you could use today, because there's lots of fun things. The easiest thing is the solo cups, which is brought up a lot. It's one of the most common number 6 plastics that are used like everywhere. And there's lots of fun sizes and colors. So I encourage like asking friends, asking neighbors, and collecting them. I had neighbors that got me these kind of clear red ones, which I think are going to turn into beautiful flowers. They're going to look like glass flowers. So, and that's what we're doing today. We're going to make what is called glass flowers out of the plastics. So I have that. I also have a couple other versions I just wanted to show you. So there's these little cups that you get everywhere that are like sauce cups. You know, you get like, go to get tacos and it's like the little hot sauce comes in there. And everyone loves those. They're so cute. And then another kind is these little shallower sauce cups you can get. A lot of times they put like a lime in there, or, you know, other types of food. It's like the sauce you dip in. It's like a little dipper. So again, you can imagine if you cut this or melt this, it's already in a kind of shape that could just already look like a circular geometric flower, but not so natural looking. And that's what we're going to get into today, is like, how do we make this look a little more organic, a little more having kind of like a whimsy to it. It won't just look like a circle stuck on wood. So that's what we're going to play around with. And then again, I had another kind that I found left over from a party, and it's actually, I think it's Chinette brand, but it is number 6, and it's got this interesting kind of harder plastic like patterning. So I thought it'd be interesting to see what happens when we do the same thing to this type of product, because you can hear it's a lot harder. This is one thing I don't recommend the kids doing so much with, only because the harder plastics, when you cut them, tend to shatter almost like a glass would, okay? So if you have this type of plastic at home, I want you to maybe have a parent help you do that, or help maybe use a knife and something that an adult should use, not necessarily a kid. But the solo stuff is super soft, and we can, oops, sorry, Phil. It can cut with just a plain old scissors. So that's what we're gonna work with today. And then a few others I just want to kind of share that I thought could be interesting is I found these. These are like little sushi trays. Again, these are all number 6 plastics, but they're also very different, right? So you can see on the inside kind of has like a texture. Maybe that could be cut and be like a leaf type of texture. We want to think of like, how do we take this plastic from looking just like plain old plastic into more of a organic floral type of thing. So we have to think outside the box, which is kind of part of the fun, I think. And then the most common thing are these guys in all sizes. This is a smaller one that you might get like, I don't know, take out like little wontons or something in there. But they come in all kinds of shapes and sizes. And again, you can take these, cut them up with scissors. Parents can use a knife or something, and we can come up with all kinds of fun shapes, right? So what do you think we're gonna do with this plastic to make it look like glass flowers? Anyone have any guesses?
Well, I know, so I'm not gonna say.
Yeah, some might know already, or maybe you looked it up. No cheating and Googling if you Google. Anybody have a guess? Nobody? We're just gonna be shy? Okay.
Catherine, Justin, none of you guys have a thought as to how we're gonna make it?
Okay, well, don't worry, I'm gonna teach you anyway. That's what I'm here for. So I actually already did a batch ahead of time, so I could kind of show you the end product with like TV magic, so we don't have to wait. But what you're gonna have to do for this project is have an adult have an oven, because you have to actually turn the oven on low. So you don't have to do it right now. I'm just explaining to you the process. You can always do it later and watch me do it tonight. And then maybe having a parent go with you to the kitchen and do it later tonight, okay? One thing I want to bring up before we even do that is they do recommend, because what we're going to be doing is essentially melting the plastic in the oven on a very low heat so that it's safe. But that also means plastic melting is sort of a chemical reaction, right? And it goes in the air. So we want to make sure that we are ventilating. Maybe you have a fan on, if you have those over fans that you just hit a button like over the microwave, over the oven kind of thing. Or if you have a fan that goes around, and you might want to wear your mask. Yep, like Miss Wendy has So we want to maybe put a mask on just in case the fumes bother you. You don't want, they also recommend maybe opening windows or doors. Of course, it might be raining, so we have to be careful. But for me, I tried this yesterday, and all I had to do was put my overhead fan on kind of high. And I opened my garage, which happens to be near my kitchen, and it was fine. I really didn't notice any smells or chemicals or anything or getting a headache. So just also be safe. But that's all we're going to do. When you do the oven on to melt the plastics, you put it on at about 300 degrees. It recommends anywhere from 300 to 350. So you're just putting it on bake like you're about to make cookies, except we're going to be baking plastic. Okay? So it's really fun. And the easiest part is what we do with the cups. So does everyone have a cup nearby and scissors? If you have a cup and scissors, or if you want to, I can give you a minute and you can literally just go to your kitchen and see if you can find a plastic cup or one of these kind.
Because we can talk while you guys do that. If you want to get there, we'll talk about the number 6 and why we chose number 6. Go ahead and get your stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a great
number
idea.
6 because this is something that Montgomery County does not recycle. And it's not because they won't recycle or don't have a place. It's because it's just not feasible. And that means basically they don't have the mechanisms or the machinery that can handle it.
Right, it's a different type of plastic, and people get it mixed up because it just looks like a lot of the other plastics. So you can see, like, I actually put it right next to a similar cup, thought it was number 6, and it was a number 1, for example. So one of the reasons this project is so fun, and but also kind of makes you think differently besides artistically, is because now you're going to maybe pay more attention to the numbers on the bottoms of your plastics, because it actually really shocked me how many items are number 6s, which are not recyclable, that I actually thought they were. And I think a lot of us do that. We think it's recyclable. It looks just like the other plastics. So we throw it in the bin, and we're not realizing that we're actually just contaminating a lot of that stuff that they might see there's so much number 6 that they're just going to put it in a landfill or throw it into the regular trash. So we think we're doing a good thing, but it's actually not going to the place we think it's going. It's not able to be recycled. Right. So this will help us be a little more mindful, hopefully, that like from now on, instead of just tossing it, oh wow, look at all those cups, Justin.
Yay, good
You're
job.
gonna make 1,000 flowers for me, right? Oh, I'm so excited.
Justin,
thank you.
Oh, good.
So you can open up your cups or just get one ready, and a pair of scissors.
Yeah.
How many?
Yeah.
You just need one for now.
Just one for now, yeah. And we might mute everybody just because I think we're going to echo a little bit if people like talk over me while I'm teaching, if that's okay.
It's Justin and Eliza are in the same room. So
that's
only one of them can have it on that's why you're getting their echo.
Yeah, it's okay. That's fine. I understand. I mean, my other job, guys, I'm a dance teacher, and I have to teach dance on this Zoom stuff. And that happens a lot. We get like 20 kids on here trying to do dance, and then you hear the dog barking and So I understand. We're all making it work, right? So does everyone have a favorite cup nearby? And a scissors. Now, this is your choice right now. You have a choice you can make. If you're like me, I'm kind of a free spirit. I don't like to color in the lines. I like to just go and do and make, right? If you're like me, then you don't need a marker or a pen. But if you're more of like, you like to be organized, you like to know what the shape is before you do something, then you might also want a pen or a marker. It could be like a Sharpie, right? It could be even just a magic marker. Anything that's going to write on the plastic, it won't really matter because it's going to just be your guide. So I'm going to do it both ways. I guess the first way, let's do it with a marker. And I actually got a paint marker because I wanted to be really dark so you guys could see it. I'm going to put the camera in my little, I have a little holder for it. I'm going to see if it'll hold it. It likes to sometimes tip, so I apologize if it kind of tips to the side. Oop, there it goes. Let me see if I can get it not to do that. Yeah, it's going to tip a little bit. But that's okay. Let's see if I can bear with me for 2 seconds while I fix it. Of course, it doesn't want to behave.
Because you're online.
Because I'm live, right?
Right.
Worked all up until now. All right. I'm just going to tip it and see if that'll help a little bit. Yeah. Oh, it's still going to do it. It's fine. All right. So you're going to do this with me while you look at my ceiling a little bit. So I got my marker, I got a cup. I'm gonna use the red cup because I think you can see it pretty well. And then I just want you to kind of draw on the top like a wavy line, or you could even draw petal shapes. But what you wanna do, and I'm sorry, it's gonna tip to the side, I'm just gonna let it go. What you wanna do is sort of think about what could it be flower shape wise, right? So, and you want to leave some space at the bottom, which is kind of a different idea, like, because it's going to melt a little bit when we put it in the oven. So the bottom of the cup where it would rest on the table normally is where we want to leave about an inch or two. Does everyone know about what an inch is? So, oh, I got it to stay. Okay. So we want to leave like a good chunk, maybe 1 or 2 inches, because it's going to melt down and kind of shrink, right? So if you've ever done, like when you were younger, I've done them in summer camps, or even now, there's things called little like shrinky dinks, and they're plastic and they shrink. That's essentially what's gonna happen to our number 6 plastics when we try this today, okay? So I can show you with my marker that I'm just gonna start up higher and kind of it'll kind of cut the rim off when I'm done, right? So I'm just gonna do like a little wavy line. I'm gonna do it all the way around really fast so I can then show you guys, okay? But you could do wavy, you could do petals. So I'm gonna do one that's like a wavy one. Can you see that? Yeah. Just because you're imagining that's sort of the starting point. When it melts, it's going to open, and that's going to be kind of the edges of your flower petals. Does that make sense? Any questions about that? Now I'll show you another one you could try to do, which I actually haven't tried, so we'll try it together, is doing more of a specific kind of petal shape. You could do like little half moon shapes, or I don't know, they could be skinny, they could be chunky, like whatever you want. So I'm going to kind of do these little arch shapes, right? Like little arches. So I'm going to do like that. I'm just going to do these little hills, like all the way around. And it's okay if you mess up. It's going to melt. It's going to shrink. It's going to do whatever it does. So there's really is, in my opinion, there's no, mistakes. It's like if you follow Bob Ross, one of my favorite silly artists on TV, he always says there's no mistakes. It's just happy little accidents, right? And I feel the same way. So do you see how I just made like little hills, like little bumps all around? And even there, look, I messed up. I like wiggled my marker on it, whatever. Blah. That just means there'll be a little bit of black maybe on it when it melts, and no one's going to notice, and it just looks pretty. Who cares, right? You could even add dots and make a dotted up flower if you want. You could color it. And that's another option you can do. And I'm going to share that on the Facebook page, that there is another way with clears or these whites. If you think that's kind of boring, you can actually color them with markers first with the Sharpie, and then melt them, and then have like a rainbow flower, or design a specific flower. If you wanted to look up like specific, we were thinking about maybe it'd be fun to do some Maryland flowers, like stuff that's from our area. So one that's really common that everybody knows, it's kind of everywhere, is the black-eyed Susan, right? So you could do a yellow color and then like black in the middle, and it would sort of artistically represent a black-eyed Susan. Okay, but you don't have to do that. They're just ideas I'm throwing out there, right? So the next step, all we have to do, did everyone draw what they want, or they just have a cup ready to go and you're gonna cut it? So the next thing is just cutting it. So that's why I like the softer plastics, because with scissors, you can safely just kind of nip the sides, kind of wanna pull it tighter and just kind of snip it. And then it makes a hole right in there. Now if it doesn't really want to behave or it doesn't go, you might have to kind of stab it a little bit with the end of your scissors. So please be safe. You might want to have an adult in the room. You might want to ask them to help you if you are under 18, okay? If you also prefer, I did put on the notes, like for adults, you could choose to use, and I have one here, there's different kinds of little cutting tools. This one's like a safer one. It's actually a plastic blade, so I can touch it. It doesn't hurt me, but it will cut the plastic on the plastic. And then there's also the normal kind of utility knife or X-Acto knife that you could get a little more specific and intricate if you wanted to go crazy. But again, all you want to do is kind of find the side, and you could just squeeze it, cut with the scissor, and then go ahead, take a minute, and just cut all the way around. What you'll end up with is this sort of like wavy version of your cup, or a cup with petals, right? That hopefully is going to turn into a flower. You can hear my cutting, right? And it's not the easiest. Some of this plastic can be kind of tough, but again, I definitely recommend using the solo cups or the little plastic containers that are a little bit of a bouncier, softer plastic, because some of the harder ones, all they're going to do when you try to cut is just shatter, and it's like a crazy mess. It flies all over the place. just not the best. I did try it. Definitely not the best, but you can make it work if you want to get creative or challenge yourself after you do the easier way. Okay, so I just cut mine. So you have 2 pieces when you're done. Everyone have it? You want to show me what you made so far? Oh, I love it. Oh, yes. Okay. So pretty easy. All we have left to do is do a few of these. I recommend doing about maybe 5 to 6 at a time. And again, we're going to kind of skip ahead that part. You can do that later tonight or continue to do it. But why we're doing that is you're going to need a baking sheet and foil next. So all we're doing, again, it's like you're baking cookies. You set the oven for 300 to 350. You want a basic baking sheet, and it can be your normal baking sheet. It's not going to like affect, the plastic doesn't go through the foil and affect food later. So it's perfectly safe to use and then still use food items later. I would just let it ventilate out a while. Don't put cookies right in there after plastic's been in there. But I'm going to show you, I have mine right here. Sorry to go off screen. And I have it ready to go, and I already have my foil on it. So it's like a little baking sheet ready to go. And what we would do is put your little cups on there, spread out. You want about 1 inch or 2 apart, okay? Just to show you, I'll put the other cup on there, right? And I'm just sort of spreading them out. And they would just go into the oven. And again, this is super quick and easy. It only takes, it recommends on the project, and I'll send it out, but it recommends about 3 to 5 minutes. Mine took about 3. And what they do recommend is, again, you want to wear your mask and you kind of peek and watch it. So you put it in for about a minute, minute and a half. You want to open it up and peek at it. And again, this is something parents should help the children do, or adults, you can do it on your own. It's actually really fun. It's part of the fun is watching them melt and turn into flowers. So you're going to put it in the oven, let it sit there for a minute or 2, and peek in there and see how it's starting to go. If it looks like it's pretty melted, then you can get your little pot holders or whatever you use to safely take it out warm and take them out and put them on top to ventilate. I would put the fan on. Also, if you have somewhere else to take them, I actually took them outside on my deck, just so they were fully outside and kind of the fumes were out there, and it was gone in like a minute. I could bring them right in. They were cool and it was safe and there was no fumes. So I'm gonna actually, with magic, I'm gonna pretend I just put it in the oven, okay? And one other recommendation, I actually still use this part. So the top, if you put it down this way, it melts and it's gonna also open, and you can imagine like a rose or something where you can have this wider part is gonna melt and open and be an outer layer, and this can then be the inner layer, and we can kind of play around with layering it too, which is something I plan on doing as the artist. I want to take as much of this material as we can and layer these petals in the different shapes that we come up with. So don't just throw this away. This is useful too, I think. And now I'll show you I actually did that. So here, I put it in the oven, boop, I watched it. The only other thing I can recommend if you want to kind of play with the shape, adults or kids, as you get better at this, try it a few times, is a tool you can get anywhere. These are skewers for like shish kebabs. I like them because they're longer. You can also find like art dowels, but again, why pay more money? I bought a pack of these of like 50 for like $1 at the dollar store. So a wood dowel is a good thing. It won't burn in the oven. You won't have any, like, it's really, really safe tool. And the reason I bring this up is while it's melting, if it's getting in a weird shape, you can simply kind of, with a proper, pot holder, you can push with the dowel and affect the shape while it's still melted, then take it out to cool. And even when it's cooling, you can kind of tap it with the dowel and move it how you want it to be. So you can still shape it while it's warm. Once it's cool though, it's gonna be hard. So let's pretend this just went in the oven and I love it and it's coming out. Okay, and I'm gonna try to tilt this down for you so you can see. Ta-da! So these are my cute little pieces. There's 2 small and 2 tall. Can we see that okay? I'm gonna get a little closer, yeah. So you can really see, woo, okay.
That's amazing.
It's really cool. I'm gonna actually take this, sorry, I'm fumbling, but it doesn't wanna come out of the holder. So it's really, really cool. So I'm trying to turn the camera for you guys. See that? So when you have the big pieces, you can put the little pieces kind of in there. And it really looks like a rose.
Very cool.
It's very cool. And here's the empty one right here. And again, here's a little middle piece that went with that, and it sort of naturally kind of melted similar. That was not planned. at all. It just sort of happened last time and I loved it. So I kind of played with it and it kind of just naturally, this little one just fit right in the middle of the other one. So it really has a cool look. It's see-through and glass-like. I think on our sculpture, it's gonna have a really neat effect. I think people are gonna maybe think it's glass, which will make them want to come up to it and be curious about it. And then we can teach them more that it's actually 6 plastics and that there's more we can do with them than just throw them away, that they actually are really beautiful if you know what to do with them. I have an example too of a clear one I did. It's kind of hard to see, but it almost folded up like a leaf or a lily. It's a really cool shape. And again, I just cut it and threw it in the oven. Let it do this.
So cool.
It just melted and curled up on its own. And when I saw that it looked kind of neat, I took it out and let it cool. So this is why I did this one first, because it was like a little bit easier. You just sort of cut it and you could either have a plan or not have a plan, just kind of cut and see what happens and put it in the oven and watch it melt. You could try doing a whole cup, although I don't recommend because I feel like that kind of will just topple over and kind of get everywhere. So that's why they kind of recommend cutting it into pieces. Here's another example I just wanted to show because it's almost time to go actually. There's only 5 minutes left.
I know.
This is that cup that was that rigid, hard plastic that sort of shatters. So what happened when I started cutting it, it's hard to see from here, but I'll show you with the cup itself. I started trying to cut this crazy cup and it just shattered, like cracked all down and across. And I got these just chunky pieces like this by this. And so what I did is just to see what would happen and see if they were still usable. I put them in the oven still and kind of layered them and created my own petals that way. So you can see there is still ways to use some of these materials that seem like we can't, or they're just harder to work with, but you just have to be kind of creative. And again, I would have more of an adult work with that type of plastic, but it curled up pretty neat and it's very hard and it looks and feels like glass, but it's plastic. So are there any questions about that fun, easy project that we're gonna start doing over the next few weeks? So what I really wanted to just say last is what I encourage everyone to do, and I'm gonna also keep encouraging on social media, is that you try to do your own versions of this, come up with different shapes, maybe different colors, different versions of the 6 plastics, and melting them in the oven and seeing what happens and how they look like leaves or flowers or grass, any kind of organic materials, and then share those photos with us and show us what you're making. And then when it's time to collect them, we're going to have a kind of a site at the art factory where you don't have to come in. You can just come like a little drive-through and drop off your items and they'll be automatically part of the art sculpture. So your art will absolutely be featured for everyone to enjoy outside in Wheaton, and like everyone will get to see it. Isn't that kind of cool?
Very cool. Very cool. This was exciting. I'm ready. I'm going to go. I'm going to turn my oven on and make a couple of these and see what they look with the dark red.
Yeah, it's a really, I thought it was a fun project and also so easy. You just need an oven, a cup, and the least you need is an oven, a cup, and scissors.
Right.
And and the foil to put underneath to be safe. Other than that, you just turn a fan on, cut, and see what happens. And it's sort of magical to play with it. And if you get more confident, like I said, use the dowels. You can kind of adjust the shape of your flour and move it while it's still kind of melting. It's almost a beginner version of what it is to be a glass blower, because they work very similarly, where they put the piece of glass in the ovens. They're warming it to use it, but you have to use it while it's warm. And then once it's solid, and that's the piece. Right? So it's kind of a fun beginner way to get into all those kind of harder skills that you maybe could do when you're older or want to get into glass blowing or something. Right? So
I think that's great. That's
any
wonderful.
questions before we go, guys? There's only a few minutes. Do you want to share maybe, Wendy, about the next solo cup project?
I think that's great.
She's like our master on this one. She went ahead and did this, and I'm gonna have her help teach it next week.
So I did this one, and this was my first attempt. We're gonna do something similar. I used some brass, and we don't want to use brass. We want to use something that's not going to rust in the weather, because we got to think about how all of this is going to last. We want to make sure that this art is that everybody will be able to see it, whether they can come out for the Arts Parade or later on, that they'll be able to see this. So we'll work on some other things to use instead of these, but this is what I had in the house, so I went with that. But I'm excited. you know, to play with this. I found that this was pretty easy to manipulate, so I'm happy to do that. So I will become the solo cup expert.
I'm gonna do I'll do a test one as well. We can help each other out.
I think that's great.
And every week too, I just wanted to say this because I kind of forgot to mention it, but every week I try to post on the Wheaton Arts Parade social media, as well as my Paige Son Art social media, which I put it on the, you know, the name so you could see that, how it's spelled and everything. And we'll share it through OMG and everything. Right. So that you know kind of what supplies to have prepared and ready to use for these art making workshops, so that you're not running around and looking for it kind of like we did today. I do try to put it out. You know, you always basically from now on want to set aside number 6 plastics that you find, because most of these projects we can use with any of them. But next time specifically, we are going to focus on the solo cups and turning cups into the flowers in a specific way. But there will be other projects where we can just use any type of plastic. So keep those to the side, have basic materials ready. The goal I also have too was that these are kind of household items that you guys can use, so you're not like having to go buy anything. We want to reuse and recycle and upcycle these items so that it's becoming beautiful art and not being wasteful.
So
and that's
cool.
it, I think.
Great.
You did it right on time at 6 o'clock. So we'll be back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks, we'll work on the red solo cup. If you guys get a chance to do this, then please come back in 2 weeks. It's the same link, the same registration if you didn't sign up for more than one, and bring us your finished product. Show us what you did. We're excited.
I can't wait. Justin, I mean, you got like 100 flowers you got to make now.
We're looking forward to it.
Are you going to do it? You think you can?
Yeah.
You think your family
all right,
can?
Justin.
Oh, yeah. The whole family can. I love it.
Great.
Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate it. It was so much fun. And I'm actually going to make some more
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, yeah. Mr. Wong, I'm assuming that's you, Mr. Wong.
Yeah, can we use the hot water to melt the plastic?
Ooh.
Oh, you could try that. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
That's another great idea.
Oh, and that might be safer too. In fact, Mr. Wong, we're tasking you now to show us if that works, and then tell us if that works, because I love that idea.
Oh yeah, you could boil water and just simply pour it onto your cup in a safe
maybe
container.
Even drop them in
or drop them
to
in.
see what they do.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool idea. We could maybe even do that as a project coming up. I'll do some more research. I didn't even think about that. Each week I kind of come up with new things, and I want it to be different every time. But I love suggestions like that, and I really want this to be collaborative and be fun ways that you guys want to try things, so we can make as many as we can and cover the tetrahedron, which is a 3-sided, 4-foot each side sculpture. So we got a few feet of work to do.
Yeah. That's it.
But I know we can do it. I know we can do it with everybody's help. And today was the first one. I had a lot of people interested, but maybe just couldn't do it, or the storms kind of scared people, or, you know, whatever. So we will make sure that we keep growing it. Please share the information with friends and family. Find us on Facebook and Instagram and email and all that good stuff.
So great. Thank you. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. We'll be back here.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Nice to meet everybody. Remix.
All right. So,
Yeah.